Hi, I am Song W. Erickson, and this is my channel where I talk about whatever's on my mind lately. And what I wanted to talk about this week, because it's been on my mind a lot recently, is sexy slash curvy character design and the way people get kind of weird about that. Now, if you've been here before, and maybe even if you are new, you know this is not usually where I record, and so you might be wondering, Song, why are you in a different position? Where's the plushies? And why are you bent over at a weird angle? That's because before we get into this, I need to give some context. Namely, this is what I look like, okay? So this is me stating my bias that I have a specific perspective when I view curvy character design, and yeah, this is all natural. This is me without my corset even. I thought about showing you guys what I look like with the corset, but you'll have to check out some of my old shorts for that, because not happening today. It would just take too long, and bending over like that got me all out of breath. So give me a second to change into something more comfortable and move my camera into the regular position, and we'll get into my actual thoughts on this subject, okay? Jeez, I need to work on my breath control. This video is proving to be incredibly hard to make because I'm having a really hard time expressing my thoughts, really. I'm just gonna get into this. So, last week I did a video talking about the weird way so-called fandoms of indie animation projects react to shows like Has-Been Hotel and The Amazing Digital Circus, and the entitlement I see in those fandoms, as well as just the sheer lack of literacy around them, and the way the fandoms have treated showrunners like Vivian Medrano, aka Vivzy Pop, and Gooseworks, who's the creator of Amazing Digital Circus. A couple weeks ago, Glitch Studios also released the first pilot. They released the pilot for a show called Gameoverse. And people immediately freaked out because the main character looks like this. You know, I'm not even a big fan of Catgirl designs, and I'm ambivalent to anthro designs in general, but like, she cute. And there's a little bit of jiggle physics. Here's the secret to jiggle physics. To people who might not know this, that's what they do. They bounce. Like, that. Unless you have things strapped down to the point of being uncomfortable, that's what they do. You move, they move, it's part of you. It moves. Bodies move. Boobs jiggle. And every time I see people freak out about it, I'm just like, why? Why? This is not an anime where they're moving in all different directions and just laughable. Those are laughable. This is realistic jiggle physics. This is just how things move. And to call this design overly sexualized is frankly bizarre. Why is a woman having curves automatically sexualized? Now, like, further context from my experience. I grew up extremely religious. And so it was a home where I was taught, not even a home. Point is, I was taught cover up, be modest, don't be tempting, don't be, you know. And it wasn't until I was well into adulthood that I finally started to go, hey, maybe that's not my problem. Maybe the way other people look at me and freak out over the way I'm built isn't my problem. Every time there's a character that has curves, people freak out. People immediately scream that it is sexualized. And here's the other thing. So what if it's sexualized? If it is an adult project, not even adult as in pornographic or anything, but if it is a show for adults who generally are sexual beings, and that is a part of most human makeup, why is it wrong for something to be a little bit sexy? So even if, like, okay, the Catgirl design is made by a guy, so yeah, there probably is some inherent sexualization to it. Not saying sexualization sounds wrong, because I don't think that's even the right word. Obviously, there is some idealization. There is a level of attractiveness in this, right? That's not just men. Like, I need people to understand that men are not the only ones who design attractive characters that they personally find attractive. Like, there is this weird double standard when it comes to attractive characters, where it's like a male attractive character, women are allowed to downright salivate over them. I play Love in Deep Space. Man, I've got my Silas plushie here, because, I'm talking about sexy character design. It only felt right to have Silas here, because if you don't know, this is what Silas looks like in game.
Only you and this flower. Come touch me here.
My pen name comes from the character Eret, son of Eret, from How to Train Your Dragon 2. There's a reason this is a running joke on my channel. Then, on the other hand, you've got someone like Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. Extremely attractive. Black Cat from Marvel Comics. Love her design. It's not bad. I guess I don't understand why people get so up in arms. And, I mentioned Black Cat in Marvel Comics. There are absolutely some artists who I think go a little too far. And they do kind of cross the line from attractive and sensual into sexualized. I'm not going to argue with that. I will argue that I don't entirely think that's a bad thing, but at the same time, I think, you could probably have a discussion around that. But, I don't think that a sexy character design is inherently bad. And I think when we villainize that, and when we villainize human sexuality in general, how do I phrase this? I don't think it's a good idea to villainize sexuality. I don't think it's a good idea to act like there's something wrong with that. And if someone is asexual or they don't feel sexual desire, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but for the most part, most people do in one form or another. And it doesn't really matter who you're attracted to. Well, okay, it does to an extent, but general rules apply, okay? As long as it's consensual and as long as everyone is of the appropriate age, why do we treat it like it's a bad thing? How have we gotten to this point where anything sexual is so villainized? I may not be a fan of most books that get really popular on TikTok, but I do enjoy smutty books. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's so ironic growing up in an extremely religious, controlling home where sex was viewed as sinful and it's only for, well, okay. More specifically, sex outside of marriage is sinful. It's great when you're married and when you're with the person God wants you to be with. But otherwise it's sinful, it's bad. It's so weird growing up with that mentality and then overcoming that and calming down around those attitudes and starting to just freely enjoy things that have sexual content without feeling like I'm sinning. And at the same time I'm doing that, it seems like the world in general is just going the opposite direction, and suddenly anything that could be perceived as attractive is a bad thing. I don't know if this video is going to be any good, because my thoughts are kind of all over the place. And like, I don't want to come in here necessarily as an authority on the subject. All I can really do is give my perspective and my thoughts on things. And again, the context of me being built the way that I am, and how weird it is to see people freak out over a really basic cat girl design who just has boobs. Like, it's not, I don't feel like that should be weird. Just like, I don't think it's any weirder that I have boobs. That doesn't make it automatically sexual. Does that make sense? Like, it's just biology. That's all it is it's all biology. And even someone designing a character they find attractive, I don't think that's weird either. I don't think that's a bad thing. The theme of my videos lately has just kind of been, how did we get here, man? Just how did we get to the point? Again, how did things reverse? Where, like, I used to be the prude, and I was the one who freaked out over sexual stuff because of how I was raised. And then I calmed down, and now the rest of the world seems really prudish. And they freak out, and this idea that, do I dare address the double standard to it either? Because it also seems like as women have become more comfortable with their sexuality, something like Love in Deep Space,
I'd pull you into its insatiability. I'll take you into those very depths.
is at the same time it's become taboo for men to be sexual and men to find characters attractive. Like, I'm equal opportunity fan service, man. I have a line where I think something is attractive and sensual versus when I find it crass and overdone. But, like, up to that line, equal opportunity. I like them both. And I think anyone should be able to design whatever attractive character they want. I don't understand why that's controversial. And again, like I said, the theme of my videos lately has just been, how did we get here, man? How did this happen? And I have no answers. I'm really just asking a question, and that is, what is actually wrong with this design? What is actually wrong with a character that is a little curvy and is a little sexy? Why is that a bad thing? I don't know. Really do not have answers. And it's like, I'm doing this video because I can't stop thinking about it. And like, that's what I do videos on, is the stuff I can't stop thinking about. But at the same time, like I said, my thoughts are so scattered and all over the place because this feels like such a nuanced conversation. And there are so many layers to it, where it's like, I think there's a double standard in how people treat fan service, where like women will salivate over a character design like Silas. I've seen people say some pretty crazy things. I've seen women say some pretty crazy things about Silas and the other characters in Love in Deep Space. But the moment a man dares to find a character attractive, that's a bad thing. And it's like, I think we should all be able to... Again, I need to... I feel like I need to caveat this with, like... as long as it's consenting adults and appropriately aged. And like, I'm not talking about animals or anything like that, but at the same time, characters don't, you can't really, I see people talk about like, oh, you can't sexualize a character because they can't consent to it, and it's like, that's not how fiction works. It's really not. Like, Eret cannot complain that I use his last name as my pen name. Like, Eret is not real. He can't care about it, and he can't consent or have an opinion. I can do whatever I want with that name, and joking about that as a fangirl. Oh, this feels so far outside like my pay grade, but again, I can't stop thinking about it. And so, of course, I feel the need to give my rather messy opinions, I guess, and I'm gonna try and edit this video into something coherent. But again, I come back to the two questions of like, what is wrong with this design? And how did we get here? How did this happen? I kind of know how we got here, but I guess more my question is like, how do we get out of this? Because I find some of this mentality just so weird. And like, obviously, I think there is a line between something that's just cute and attractive versus something that is meant to be titillating. And I think there are some discussions that can happen around those things. But it's also like, I don't know, man. Let women read their smutty romances. Let guys have games and shows with attractive women in them. Because I've seen the reactions to Marvel Rivals skins, right? It's, as a general rule, the women like them just as much as the men. And that's okay. And I don't think that's weird. I certainly love every time they announce a new Marvel Rivals character. And I'm just sitting there waiting to see what the character's gonna look like. Oh, I was so obsessed with Romy. You know, Rogue and Gambit. So happy they're married there. Ugh. Just my little shipper heart. So happy. I don't care what the comics do. I'm not going to pay attention to it anymore. I'm going to pretend that Rogue and Gambit will forever be married in the comics going forward. Don't tell me if the comics changes that. Just don't. I spent 18 years waiting for that wedding. Don't tell me anything else. All right. I think I have made my points as well as I can. If in the future I think I can convey myself better or clarify my points, I'll probably do a further thoughts video on the subject. Watch in a few weeks. I'm going to be like, oh, I could have done it. If that happens, obviously, I'll be back in a few weeks. If you're new here, I actually do weekly videos. So I put out a video every Wednesday. Thank you for checking out this one, especially if you made it to the end. Hopefully, like I said, I can edit this into something coherent. If you're new here, maybe check out some of my other videos to get a better idea of what my content actually looks like. And hey, if you like those, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I would very much appreciate that. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I will be back next week with another video. Don't know yet what it's going to be on, but until then, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you have a great day. And until next time, stay safe, take care, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye!